Hi guys, this is Sandra of the Alexandrite System, and welcome back to another installment of System. Today we're going to be sitting down with the Stronghold System to talk about their activism and their new nonprofit. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
We are the Stronghold System. We were diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder in 2010. And we also self-identify as Plural, which is an umbrella label that encompasses all sorts of multiplicity, forms of multiplicity. We're 32 years old. We live in the Netherlands, so if you hear an accent in our voice, that's why, or we just switched. It's either one or the other, or both. We are polyfragmented, which means that we have over 100 people in our system. We don't know exactly how many, so we just stopped putting a number on it, basically.
Yeah, I've found that a lot of the Polyfrag systems I know, it's like after 100, it's like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to keep the door open, as we call it. But we don't find it necessary to communicate the number to the outside world anymore because people can't keep track. We can keep track. So it just seems like an inconsistent story. But it's just an inconsistent system, I guess.
You guys have your website and YouTube channel, Power to the Plurals. What led to the creating of that website? And I guess just getting into plural activism in the first place.
Yeah, that is our website that we started in 2017. We started that website because we had a lot of thoughts around plurality after reading and studying dissociative identity disorder to gain more understanding about our own disorder in the first place. Because the waiting list for therapy was so long after we got diagnosed, we felt like we had to look into it and learn more about the ID ourselves. And then we found so many conflicting and contradicting statements between studies that we felt a need, or even within one study, that we felt the need to speak up about that, but also to provide resources to the community because there was so little out there, especially in 2010, 2012. We really couldn't find that much, especially not in Dutch. It took us a while before we realized that if we searched in English on Google, we would get more results. uh, but even now there is still, it's hard to find good resources. So we felt the need to create a place for that.
Your articles about those contradictions in those studies and things are some of my favorites of your work. One of the ones I really love is on how the theory of structural dissociation, as understood by the larger system community, is both like super outdated and largely misunderstood.
Yeah, it's mostly cherry picked,
Yeah.
because most of those people, they don't want fusion integration, but the whole theory is based around reaching fusion integration. So if you love the theory so much, then you should love the whole theory and not just cherry pick the one thing, especially not that one thing is said by a specific doctor. So you could just quote the doctor if you want to talk about that one issue that you like. So that's what I tried to point out in that article. Yeah.
You guys also mentioned that you've known about your system for about 10 years now. I also saw that you guys made a video about that topic. What was it? 10 things that you wish that you had known 10 years ago?
Yes.
How have you guys like grown and changed over that 10 years? Because I guess that's what among the longer amounts of time just for like systems that we personally know for like
Mhm.
knowing and like working together.
Yeah, for sure. We changed so much. Like we got diagnosed 3 times because we dealt with so much denial.
Mm.
And we saw therapists in the Netherlands who said there were 80 people in the Netherlands with DID. That's very incorrect. But at the time, we thought, okay, that's the truth. That's, what the specialist is saying. So we could not imagine ourselves having this super rare uh, disorder at all. Yeah, we dealt with so much denial. And now I've basically fully accepted our plurality and we're living as open as possible. We're safe, you know. It's not like we tell the baker. But all our friends know we would never date someone without coming out as plural before. Our family knows. Everyone is up to date. That we have DID to some degree or a higher degree because we have our YouTube channel. It's very transparent, I guess, in that regard. What other differences are there? A lot, I guess, because when we started, we thought we had 12 people in our system.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and that was already two more than we were like willing to actually have. 10 was like a lot, so 12 was like already too much. Now we're over 100, so that's a very different perspective. And really, we healed so much since we opened the door and said, you know what, we got to stop this counting and like worrying about new people. And yeah, it's been really a healing experience to get to know all these other people inside our system for sure.
Going back to what you said about being diagnosed 3 times and told like there are only 80 people in the Netherlands with DID, I find that statement really kind of like funny and interesting because like from most of the stories from other systems that we know, it's like when they get told like this is super rare, the next sentence is you don't have it. But to be told like this is super rare and also you're one of those 80 people is just I don't know, that's just like very different from what I've heard, so it's interesting to me.
Yes, I guess it was undeniable. Especially back then, I think we really had like no control over what was going on. And I want to specify when I say that I do not mean control over who is fronting so much or like that we have control over switching, but more that we had no control over all the switching. Like there was so much switching going on. And I remember also the therapist saying like, you switch so much more than that you notice yourself. And that turned out to be very true. And I think also in my own videos, I see myself switch a lot more than other people see us switch. We don't always say like, oh, it's this person or like, but back in the day, I just had no idea that we switched mid-sentence or whatever, mid-story.
You guys started a nonprofit recently, the Plural Association.
Yeah.
Um, would you like to tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, super excited. On February 5th, 2020, we started the first grassroots nonprofit for all forms of plurality. It's very grassroots, and everyone, all volunteers or people who are working with us are plural themselves, which is super exciting. We have over 40 volunteers who already signed up, so that's also huge. I really didn't expect that. It's an overwhelming response, and it's hard to reach out to everyone individually, but it's fantastic. One of the main things that we try to do with the nonprofit is that we want to build a warm line platform where people can email, chat, or call with a trained lived experience plural, where systems can share their stories and worries. And that's one of the things that we really want to try to build up as one of the first goals that we set for our nonprofit. So that's one of the things that we're fundraising for currently, and very excited about.
So let's talk more about the warm line. Why is it
Mm-hmm.
called a warm line specifically?
Yeah, warm line platform or warm line is a term that I didn't come up with. It's something that's already out there. And it's basically a line you call before you reach a crisis point or where you need to call a hotline or a suicide hotline.
Mhm.
And the idea is that we intervene before you can reach that boiling point. And by doing that, we can hopefully prevent more crises.
That makes sense. So what's the difference between your guys' warm line and just a regular hotline?
So the big difference is that when you call our hotline, you know for sure that you get someone on the phone. We understand plurality, the concept of plurality. If you switch in the call, it's okay. No one is going to ask you what you're doing or what's going on, or you know, the person you're talking to knows or understands what's going on. They
Mhm.
might ask if you're okay, of course, but we hope that it provides a safer, more natural experience where people find themselves more inclined to share what is going on without finding the need to mask so much. And we really want to provide a place where everyone in the system is welcome to share, within boundaries and respectful way, of course. But that's very important to us, and we feel like that opportunity is not really there or not really encouraged within regular more online or hotline.
Yeah, the masking thing, especially like any other like counseling situation, I find that it can be really hard to just let that down, even in what is supposed to be a safe environment, because it's like even if it's a place where you're supposed to be able to just say whatever you want or like express yourself however you need, having someone who doesn't have that experience or doesn't understand fully, it can put up like this wall of like this intimidating wall.
Yeah, for sure. The last time we called them, they said, we'll call you back after an hour. And after an hour, one of our littles answered the phone. They should have noticed. And they just were like, oh, you're okay? Okay, bye. And they hang up. And we were like, wow, that's just,
That's a
how
lot.
is that helpful? Like, at all. But I think if that would happen at a plural warm line, we would notice, like, hey, but like, why is someone else there? Are you really okay? Is the other person I spoke to before okay? I think we would ask those kind of questions if that's welcomed, of course, by the person who's calling, than a regular hotline. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with a little. Like I find that even when littles are trying to be their most adult, it's still, if you know what to look for, pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always say, how can the ID be covert? Because if a child person is in the front, it stands out, right? It's like,
Yeah.
how is that covert? I don't understand how they can claim it. I think it's more like a masking situation that we do, like we see with autistic people.
So about volunteering for the Plural Association, what would that entail if somebody wanted to join?
Yeah, so currently the form that we have up on our website, the pluralassociation.org/volunteer, that contains all the information for volunteer opportunities. Currently, the form is very set up for volunteering for the Warmline platform. And besides that, I haven't really set up any other volunteer options in the form. I've just set like the option to do other things. And then from there, we can see what the possibilities are. So also in this video, I currently don't want to promise anything because my focus is very much on the warm line and my current running projects. So I want to spend my spoons on that before I dive into more new projects. I'm very good at that. So right now, the volunteer opportunities are to sign up for the warm line platform, but it's still being built, right? So you can sign up, and then when we start, you can join the training to start joining the platform.
Do you want to talk about what donations go towards for the association?
Yeah, so the Plural Association wants to continue to provide services year round. Some of the services we already provide, like our Facebook group where we support over 2,500 people on a daily basis. But mainly the funds that we need are for the Warmline platform, so we can build the platform. Our basic costs, like for the bank account and like the digital office that we use, so we have a safe address, that kind of thing is all covered by the current donations that we receive, for which we are so thankful because it was quite stressful when we started out if we would make it, but we did. So thank you, Plurals, for stepping up and helping us cover these really necessities and the cost of that. And now we need to fundraise for the one platform because that is just going to cost money. If we want like a platform that is an app or that is in a browser or something like that, we need to pay developers. We need to pay coders. We love people who volunteer, but we have to start creating opportunities for plurals who get paid for the work they do. Because that, it's just how it's supposed to be. So that is how we want to set it up, and for that we need to fundraise.
Because you guys are a nonprofit, all the money goes to the organization, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, we do not pay taxes over the money that people donate to us, and of our funds, we have to spend 90% on our main goal, which is the empowerment of plurals. But that includes, for example, our office space, right? Because we need that in order to function as a nonprofit. We need that legal address. So that is included in the 90%, but 90% of our cost go to the empowerment of plurals. Everyone
Very
is a
cool.
volunteer currently, at least. We do hope to, in the future, provide paid positions. We do think that is fair, just as we want to pay the people who build the platform. But for now, everyone is volunteer and working very hard to create resources and opportunities for plurals.
So Yeah, tell me about Alternation. I don't use Facebook myself. What goes on in the Alternation group?
Yeah, so it's a empowerment and support group. We have over 2,500 members. We recently did a survey with our members, and over 90% would recommend our group to other plurals. So we were super proud of that number. It's a really nice place where you can ask all your questions about plurality. Any form of plurality is welcome to ask your questions. And it's a bunch of open-minded, very friendly people who we love to interact with others and support each other.
I know you guys have done a few different surveys, like from the Alternation. I remember you guys talking about one where you said that 80% of the systems in that group had at least one non-human member.
Yeah, that's
I
correct. I think 200 people took part in that survey, and over 80% indeed said that they have non-human alters, which is a huge number. That was super validating for so many people because so many people have told by their therapists that it's rare. When we were at the Infinite Mind conference in Orlando, they said it was extremely rare. And this was a therapist who 10 minutes before that had explained about autistic children playing with dinosaurs and, you know, those very standardized ways of thinking that therapists and some other people have about autistic children that was talked about. And then like the idea that people could have non-human alters was like non-existent to this person. And you know, I was like, same child brain, so why do dinosaurs make sense in like plastic but not in the mind space, or like head count wise, you know, head mate wise. So it was super validating to do that survey and to see so many people responding saying that they also had non-human alters.
Yeah, I've also experienced people saying like it's super rare, or professionals saying that it's super rare. I mean, even on the multidimensional index of dissociation, it's listed as like one of the questions that if you answer high on that, that's one of the ones that's like you might be malingering, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That those kind of lists really irritate me. I think it's a lot more to make more a lot more validating to make lists that validate people's experience, and I'm not really sure why we try to deny people's their experience. And you know, malingering should be investigated after someone is actually like actively using DID to gain something. You know, like I don't understand why before that, like if someone like in a criminal case is doing it, you know, okay, like look into it. But if I'm just going to the therapist, why on earth would they think I'm malingering? Like that makes no sense to me. That is one of the first thoughts they have.
It's so strange. I just don't understand what about this disorder in particular makes people go like, nah, that one's not
Yeah.
real.
Yes, I also don't understand how that works though, because if you're a medical doctor, right, and you go to medical school, you cannot say, I do not believe in cancer. Like I
Yeah,
believe in all the other diseases and sicknesses, but cancer, nah, that doesn't exist. That doesn't go. Like you cannot be a doctor. So if you are a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you cannot say you do not believe in DID. Like it's in the DSM for over 25 years. Come on, folks. How many more times do we have to prove that it exists? Also, with all the brain scans that have been done and the fMRIs with AI that can calculate up to 75% accuracy if you have DID, you know, it's proven by now. So I think it's just weird if you deny the science. I just don't really understand what you're doing.
yeah, I don't know. The non-human alters thing again, it's like I feel there isn't enough representation for that. Even,
Mm.
I mean, in the media or in like other YouTube channels. I'm happy that a lot of the bigger ones tend to have at least one non-human, though they tend to like not mention it. Like it's
Mm.
not a big thing.
Yeah, for us, I guess what happens is that some of us mention it once and then we do not mention it again. But unless
Yeah.
you've seen that one video, you might not know. Amy did a video once. I can tell about it myself. I did a video once. Hi, my name's Amy. I'm a demon alter in our system,
and I did a live video once on Facebook where I got to dress up as like myself, and I was wearing this black veil, and I did my makeup all pretty, and that was really cool. And then we really talked about non-human alters so much, and we talked a lot about how people on the outside, especially singletons, but also plurals who don't have non-human alters themselves, assume that me and other demon alters are bad. And then they also assume that the angel alters are good. And in our system, it's quite the opposite. So it's a dangerous assumption to make, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy with when you say that someone is a persecutor, right? Because you just put a label on someone. And the same thing happened with me as a demon alter person. De- demon.
We get what you mean.
That was like what my live stream was about, that I didn't like that people made those assumptions about me.
Yeah, that's very cool and definitely an incredibly important point. I think it becomes that much easier to justify feeling that someone is like an evil alter if they're I mean, if they're non-human, but especially if they're something that's traditionally thought of as, evil.
It's really not helpful because we, did the same kind of job as other protectors in the system. We did a good job, and we deserve recognition for the work we did and do. Labeling us in a negative way really isn't helpful. So instead, you should just say we're super awesome, supernatural beings.
Very, very true.
Sometimes we don't know the best coping skills or like the best way to help, though. Like, I will admit, I'm the first one to admit that I'm far from perfect, but I'm not evil. I don't have bad intentions, and I did come to help just like the other people in our system. Yeah.
Let me move into the two questions that I ask every system that I interview. So the first question is, if you could make one piece of DID or system-related media disappear forever, what would it be and why?
That is a great question. And I have the answer as well. It's a video by Autumn Asphodel, and it's about how hypnosis and dissociation are the same thing. And I created a video. I don't think it's still on my channel. It is an old video. We are professionally trained in hypnosis on how it's absolutely not the same thing. One is an involuntary decision, dissociation, and the other is involuntary decision, hypnosis, because you need to give consent to be hypnotized. And you do not have to give consent to dissociate, quite the opposite. So it's not the same thing. So that's one piece of media that I would really like to see disappear.
That's so strange. Like, what was her argument for it being the same?
I can't remember. But
That's
it's, I
fair.
guess, like highway hypnosis being the same as dissociation, something like that, maybe.
That's that's so misinformed.
That video. Um, I've never, in my entire YouTube life, I've never called out another system or another video besides that one because I was like, nah, that's so not the same thing. I was personally offended.
And my final question is, do you have anything to say to other systems out there?
So, whether you have dissociative identity disorder or OSCD, or you are plural, multiple, or whatever word you use to label your plural experience, I want to say that your experience is valid. You and the other people in your system are valid. And we want to thank you for watching this video and for subscribing to Alexandrite's Systems channel because they do fantastic work. So don't forget to click the subscribe button. And we just want to say that it's going to be okay, that you've always been this way. Probably, maybe some systems have not always been plural and they've just become a system. But most of you have always been like this, plural. So nothing changed. If you just find out nothing changed in that regards, you're still safe. Those people are always there to help you. So that's always my most important message, that everyone in the system is there to help, even if they might not have the best coping skills and the tools to help you in the best possible way. I'm sure they're trying their best, and yeah, that's my message for everyone today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you guys online?
So we have two websites. One is the pluralassociation.org. That's our website with all the information about our nonprofit and where you can make donations and find our volunteer opportunities. And then we also have an empowerment and resource website, which you can find at powertotheplurals.com. We also have a support group on Facebook, which is called Alternation, and you can also find it by searching for the Plural Association.
Fantastic. Thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting us here on your channel. It was an honor, and we had so much fun doing this interview with you.
It was an honor for us to have you guys, friends of the channel and all. Thank you once again to the Strongholds for joining us, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.